Hi, and welcome. Allow me to chat with you briefly, and welcome to the art and science of self-care. My name is Jennifer Charlo, and I'm a counseling psychologist, an educator, and a woman of faith. And most importantly, I'm a human being who is still learning, healing, and growing. If this is your first time here, I want you to know that this channel is not about pretending to have your life completely figured out. It's not about being perfect, because I have not mastered every challenge, healed every wound, or found an answer to every problem. I'm here because I believe there is a tremendous value in sharing what we have learned along the way. I created this channel because I wanted us to have honest conversation about self-care, not only the comfortable, attractive parts of it, but also the difficult inner work that genuine self-care requires. When people hear the word self-care, they may think about taking a vacation, having a spa date, buying something nice, resting, and treating themselves. And all of those things can be valuable. Rest is important. Enjoyment is important. Taking care of our bodies is important. But self-care is so much more. It is so deeper than that. Sometimes self-care means sitting quietly with yourselves and asking questions you have spent years avoiding. Why do I respond the way I do? Why does this particular situation affect me so? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns over and over again? Why am I afraid of saying no? Why do I feel generally confused about what I am and who I am? Why do I keep accepting things that hurt me so? Why do I hide who I truly am to gain approval from other people? Those questions are not only deep questions, they're not always comfortable, but they are important, because we cannot change what we are unwilling to examine, and we cannot heal what we continue to pretend it doesn't hurt. That is what it means when I talk about doing the inner work of self-care. Inner work is the process of becoming curious about who you are, about ourselves. It's about learning to examine our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, our behaviors, relationships, and patterns without immediately judging or condemning ourselves. It's about asking not only, what am I doing, but also, where did I learn to do this? Psychology teaches us that many of our adult patterns do not begin in adulthood. They can be connected to our early experiences, relationships, family environment, cultural expectations, losses, disappointments, and the way we have learned to survive. Some people have experienced significant childhood trauma. Others may not identify their experiences as trauma, but they still carry emotional wounds, unmet needs, unhealthy messages or patterns that continue to affect our lives. Perhaps you have learned that you have to be perfect to be loved. Perhaps you have learned that you have to remain silent to keep the peace. Perhaps you have become the responsible one, the person who cares for everyone else without even thinking about your own needs. Yeah, we're talking today. Perhaps you have learned that expressing emotions was a sign of weakness. Maybe affection was not openly demonstrated in your home. Maybe you were constantly criticized, compared to others, overlooked, or even exploited. Maybe you experienced rejection, abandonment, inability to express your grief, humiliation, or even fear. Or perhaps your childhood appeared perfectly normal on the outside, but no one recognized what was happening on the inside. These experiences shape us. They can influence how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, what we tolerate, what we fear, and what we believe we deserve. We are having a conversation. Stick with me a little bit. We might have struggles. We might be defensive, and recognizing some of our dysfunction does not mean our entire life is dysfunctional. It means we are human beings. You are a human. All of us have areas we need to grow in. All of us have patterns we need to question. All of us have moments when our fears, insecurity, anger, pride, pain, or need for approval gets in the way of the person we want to become. The goal is not to pretend these things do not exist. The goal is to become aware of them, take responsibility for them, and begin working towards making them better. Your past may help explain your behavior, but it does not control your future. Healing then becomes part of your responsibility. That can be difficult to accept. Sometimes it feels unfair. You may find yourself asking, why should I do the work because of something somebody else did to me? That is a valid question. But healing is not about excusing the people who hurt you, It's about refusing to give what happened to you permanent authority over your life. Healing is how you begin reclaiming your voice, your choice, your peace, and your future. Doing this inner work does not mean blaming our parents for everything. It does not mean remaining trapped in the past. It does not mean constantly analyzing ourselves until we become exhausted. And it certainly does not mean using our pain as an excuse to mistreat other people. It means developing self-awareness. It means being honest about what has affected us. It means learning healthier ways to cope. It means recognizing we need boundary support, forgiveness, professional help, or a completely different way of responding. Sometimes we say, this is just how I am. But sometimes we call our personality what it is not. It is really a protective response we develop during difficult periods. Sometimes independence is a fear of trusting people. Sometimes perfection is a fear of rejection. Sometimes people pleasing is a fear of conflict or abandonment. Sometimes anger is covering sadness. Procrastination could be connected to anxiety or fear of failing. And sometimes constantly staying busy prevents us from having to sit with what we truly feel. This does not mean that every behavior has a hidden diagnosis. It simply means that our behavior has a story. When we understand that story, we gain the opportunity to write a different ending. Being true to yourself is an important part of the process. But being true to yourself does not mean doing what you feel like doing without considering the consequences. We're chatting now. It means living in alignment with your values. It means knowing who you are when you are not performing for an audience. It means being able to say, this matters to me. This does not feel right. This is what I believe. This is what I need. This is where I must establish a boundary. And sometimes I was wrong and I need to do better. You see, authenticity requires courage because not everyone will understand the person you are becoming. Some people were comfortable with the version of you that never said no. We're talking now. They may have appreciated the version of you that had no boundaries. Some people benefited from your silence. They may never celebrate when you find your voice. Some people knew how to relate to you when you doubted yourself. They may become comfortable with you not recognizing your worth. But growth will sometimes change your relationships. Let me give you the good and not so good news. It will change what you tolerate. It will change your conversations you participate in. It will change how you speak to yourself. And it may even change the direction of your life. That does not make you selfish, my friend. It means you are becoming more conscious about how you live. This channel here will be a space for those types of conversation. I will share ideas from psychology and counseling. I will speak about faith, identity, emotional wellness, relationships, boundaries, purpose, resilience, and personal growth. I will also share lessons from my very own life. Lessons from my successes, my mistakes, my disappointments, and the moments that forced me to see myself differently. This will not be a space where I preach to you and you pretend that we are perfect. I want it to feel like we are sitting together and we are having an honest conversation. I may have theoretical knowledge and professional experience, but I'm also living the human experience along with you every day. I'm still learning, I'm still reflecting, I'm still healing, I'm still discovering areas within myself that requires greater honesty, discipline, compassion, and healing. I believe that personal experience and professional knowledge can speak to each other. Psychology can help us understand our thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and relationships. But faith can provide meaning, hope, strength, and a sense that our lives are connected to something greater than our present circumstances. Self-reflection helps us recognize what is happening inside of us. And supportive relationships reminds us that we do not have to do everything alone. Sometimes professional counseling may also be necessary. There are experiences that require more than an encouraging video and a conversation with a friend. And I want you to think of me as a friend. But seeking help is not a sign of weakness, my friend. It can be one of the most courageous, responsible decisions we make. My hope is that this channel will encourage you to become curious about yourself and not cruel to yourself. You can acknowledge your weakness without hating yourself. You can accept responsibility without living in shame. You can recognize your wounds without allowing them to become your entire identity. You can honor how far you have come while admitting how much there is still to do. Healing is not always in a straight line, my friend. You may make progress and still have difficulties. You may understand a pattern intellectually and still stumble to change it emotionally. You may forgive someone and still need to set boundaries. You may be strong and still need support. You may have faith and still experience fear, anxiety, grief, and uncertainty. We're talking, wrapping up shortly. These things can exist at the same time. Growth is not about becoming a perfect person. It is not. It is more about becoming aware, honest, compassionate, and responsible. It is about learning how to care for yourself in ways that allow you to live more fully and relate to others in a healthy way. That is why I call this channel the art and science of self-care. There's a science to understanding how our mind works, our emotional boundaries, how bodies work, and how relationships work. But there's also the art and the discovery of balance, purpose, wholeness, and what this looks like to you as an individual. There's no single formula that fits everybody. We each have a different story. We each have different wounds, strengths, weaknesses, beliefs, circumstances, but we can learn together. We can share. We can reflect. We can challenge ourselves, and we can support one another as we heal, as we grow, as we thrive. If you have ever felt as though something inside you is holding you back, if you're tired of repeating the same patterns, if you want to understand yourself more deeply, or if you are simply trying to become a healthier version of yourself, then I hope you will join me, you will subscribe to this channel, you would like, you would share it with others, and let's go on this journey. Let's build a community grounded in honesty, compassion, faith, psychological understanding, and genuine personal growth. You do not have to have everything figured out before you begin, you know. I'll tell you the story about that, how I began on this journey of healing. You only need the courage to take one honest look within and one meaningful step forward. I want to thank you for being here. I'm Jennifer Charlo, and this is the art and science of self-care. Together, let us heal, let us grow, and let us thrive.